Good evening and welcome this evening to round 5 of the Zoom Racing League this season. We're in Monaco, one of the most popular tracks on the calendar. Really excited to get a full qualification underway this evening. Hopping over to the constructor standings real quick before we get in with Q1. It's Alpine leading the way. They got 199 points, most wins, most podiums. It has been absolutely dominant. OG, back with me this week. What do you got for
Yup.
the constructors? Or the
So the
drivers, sorry.
the drivers, it's similar story. In the constructors it was Alpine, Ferrari, and the drivers it's Alpine, Ferrari as well. But big news today: the drivers' championship leader Johannes Ludwig is out, and so his Alpine teammate Ethan Patel is going to have to step in for him. But you got Sid, who's looking to capitalize on that and try to take P1 in that drivers' championship, and you got Sleek, who's Sid's teammate, who's been looking strong at Monaco all week. You got a lot of fast drivers here and a lot of places to be made.
Fantastic breakdown. Yeah, it's certainly getting tight. Very interesting here. We're in Q1. Chris Beemister looks like the first one out on his outlap, and qualifying is so important on this track because, overtaking opportunities are just few and far between. I mean, there's not much we can do in any respect here. So look for these guys to go all out here in the full quali.
Yeah, and especially with the field as tight and strong as Division Two, like in Division Three, you had a couple of those upper guys, like the Buzz Gods, the Axelize. Um, they can kind of take Q1 a little bit easier, maybe go like 85, 90%, and still make it into that Q2. But here, everyone they're quite a bit faster. The field's quite a bit closer, and so you got to be on your A game 110% right off the bat here in Q1.
Yeah, as
Oh
we see,
wow!
oh,
What?
a little
That
bit of
that's
carnage on the outlap, it looks like, and Snoop Francis with the penalty. I hope Chris didn't get a penalty for that. He turned right after Saint Devote and just slammed into the side of Snoop Francis.
that was the most bizarre. I mean, there was three cars right there. Uh, Snoop Francis is horizontal. I it I just don't understand how that even happens.
How on an outlap can you kind of let it get to be that is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you got to feel for Chris. He's trying to set his lap early, get a feel for the track, and I mean, whatever that was, just it was just ridiculous. There's no other
Yeah,
way to put it.
you feel for Chris, so he'll have to limp back to the pits to get a brand new front wing. That's costing valuable time as he tries to get out of Q1 here, and he could be on the cusp, right? He's one of those guys that's kind of on the midfield-ish of pace, at least from what we've seen in the first 4 rounds. So that's crucial for Chris. Just very unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean that's a fantastic point. He's definitely on the cusp. Um, and so when you're on the edge like that, you don't know potentially his beamer goes 111.5. When you're on the edge like that, you want to get your rhythm down, and yeah, it's just an awful way to start.
Run with Ethan Patel is finishing up his hot lap here as he goes to sector 3. He did invalidate, so he'll have to go around again. But I've noticed with the fuel loads here and the ERS draining is you can do 2 hot laps in a row pretty comfortably if they're clean. So he'll go right into the next one here, and we'll see if he can get a good banker in at least.
Yeah, those two hot laps in a row, that was actually, I wouldn't have even thought of it really, but our engineers at Red Bull, they made us do that for quality. Actually, it really helped. You put on your first set of tires just 2 laps in a row, next session 2 laps, and then next session 2 laps. Like you just put them in 2-lap increments, and it really
Hmm.
helps you. Just it's just super nice, and so I assume a lot of these drivers are going to do that throughout this qualifying and just
Yeah, we'll
2-lap
see.
intervals.
Ethan Patel did just set a fastest sector 1, so we'll see as he gets to sector 2 if he can get a clean one in. But yeah, it definitely helps. And then even on your second heater, if you're behind time, you can just pull in and abort. He goes into the chicane there, cuts it real nice. This is a tricky corner, and a lot of the good drivers can kind of keep it flat going
Oh,
around Pool. He taps the wall on the right-hand side, and he's going to invalidate. He'll have to go back in.
yeah, he's banging the car up right now. And this track is just so narrow. It's easy to do that, and it's almost like you're playing like a pinball. You hit one wall, it's easy to hit the next and the next, and he's just about out of control.
Yeah, it's tough. While we were speaking about that, Mr. Sandunga sent the best time at 1:10.6, but in the meantime, Spunini with a 1:10.5, the former reserve driver in his first race, holding the seat for AlphaTauri. Right now, 1:10.5.
And that's a former from one of our team right there, Spanini. You know, he's no longer with us in the broadcast booth, but
No,
he's with us in our hearts, and we're rooting for him on track right now. He did go provisional pole, and he's a fast driver.
yeah, he's quick. He's quick, so he'll definitely be a factor here, um, in the top half of the field throughout this race. We're on with Sleek here is on his first heater as he goes through that quarter in the chicane. Again, that one is tricky. I can't tell you how many times I've invalidated that lap in time trials because it just seems like there's no rhyme or reason to getting invalidated over there.
Yeah, it just feels really inconsistent. One lap I feel like I'm cutting it. The next lap I give a little bit more space than I should, and it still invalidates, and it's super weird and just really fickle.
Yeah, looks like some trouble in the Haas garage though. Florida and Dome have been only two DNFs so far of qualifying, so they will automatically not make it in. As around with Brian Hockerman, he just invalidated his last heater and he'll bail. Um, rough start for the Haas.
I mean, yeah, you're starting P19, P20 in a track that's notoriously difficult to overtake. As Snoop
Ooh,
Francis is horizontal sideways again. What's going on in that Williams?
yeah, Snoop is having a little bit of a tough day, man. And he's starting to kind of interfere with some guys. We saw Chris kind of get the crap into that stick before, and Sleek, luckily he ghosted in time, but yeah, rough day.
But Sleek, he's one of those really good drivers, especially at Monaco. I believe he won the Division 1 race at Monaco. Don't quote me, but I've definitely heard something similar to that. If he didn't win, he got second or third. So he's definitely a driver to look out for. Another driver I think everyone should look out for in this race is Garrett Elder. He's top 200 in the world for Monaco time trials. In
Wow.
practice, he's been kicking everybody's butts. This is his track, and he's ready to prove it this weekend.
Yeah, Chris just set a purple sector 2. We hope he can recover nicely out of the corners there in lap 1. He'll go through Raskas. Coming into the front straight, cuts it real nicely, gets on the power nice and quickly. He's at a 1:12.9, so purple sector 2 must have been a little rough earlier in the lap because it didn't look too bad, but he's got a banker in. And, it looks like there's really only 3 drivers right now that are driving that won't be able to make it to Q2 because of the 2 Haas DNFs.
Yeah, yeah, those guys, it makes it, it lifts a little bit of weight off your shoulders knowing that those 2 guys are just automatically out of the session. But I don't know. It's still, we noted with Chris, he had a great second and third sector. We didn't see his first sector, but we can assume, it's a small track. We saw it happen earlier. Traffic plays a big part, especially in Q1 when there's so many cars. And so just getting a banker is very important. It doesn't really matter the speed because that traffic can really slow everybody down.
Yeah, it really can. We're on with Garrett Elder here. He's sitting P3 to 1:10.7. Currently on another heater. Comes out of the tunnel, cuts the chicane very nicely. And this is where you can kind of tell the difference between the high-level guys too, right? Through pool, if they can go flat, and he
I think
is
he's out of
backing,
fuel.
he's aborting the lamp. Oh yeah, he must be out of fuel.
But yeah, that is a good point right there. That's how you distinguish the guys who know the track, you know, like really put in the hours versus the guys that, these guys are all still very talented, but the guys that maybe didn't put in as much time in practice.
Yeah, exactly. There's kind of one line through pool where you can go flat out, in fifth or sixth and make it stick. I haven't found it, but
I
some of the quick
haven't either.
guys in D3, I'm sure Buzz God was able to find it too after he won the D3 race.
Yeah, and it was in dominating fashion. I'm gonna up my teammate right there, but I was in third place and I got beat by 20 seconds.
Yeah,
Um, We're on the same strategy as well. We pitted 1 lap difference, so that guy is just rapid. You might be right about that line. Those guys just have the line down, they have the breaking points down, have the turning points down. Everything just clicks.
Yeah, D3 race though, OG was surprisingly clean. I think a lot of guys were holding back. We had no safety cars. We only had 3 DNFs, maybe. Um, Now I think in D2 though, as we usually do, these guys are pushing a little bit harder. I think there's going
And
to be a little bit more carnage.
I think the other thing in D3, it is a little bit playful is not the right word, but it's not as intense. These guys in Division 2, they got their elbows out. I think ego is a little bit more of a factor in Division 2
Hmm.
than it is in Division 3, and so these guys are going to fight um, a lot harder because they want that position. Um, and so, yeah, but, it still was surprising to me that we didn't see any safety cars in Division 3, but that seems to be a trend in our division is when people are expecting a safety car, we don't get one, and then in the easy tracks, we seem to get like 4 or 5. So
It does.
that's
We're
how
the
it is.
cleanest of them all.
Sid hit his wall there.
Sid did hit a
Hitting the
wall. He
wall there.
just set a purple sector too. I don't know if it slowed him down too much, but he was able to go flat out through pool, almost to 7th gear. And even with that little bump, he'll move himself up to P6 with a 111.1. So that could have been even better.
Yeah, that could have been a lot better. Definitely in the 110s area. I don't know exactly how much time he lost, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was right next to Garrett Elder. That 310s for the wall hit and the speed loss due to
Yeah.
that.
I'm with Big Mama Frank, and he looks like he's going to pull in here. It looks like he's on his outlap.
And
And
what
Snoop Francis is around again!
again? What? I don't I don't understand what's going on with Snoop Francis.
He spent more time
And
sideways.
that's ridiculous. Big Mom Frank gets a 5-place grid
Uh,
penalty for that. That is unreal.
yeah, that will. I'm sure that will be appealed by the stewards. I'm wondering if they can. Now, was that a grid penalty, OG? I missed it.
Yeah, 5-place grid penalty for that. I don't.
That's tough to rectify after the fact. And track position is so important here. Really rough for Frank.
Yeah, that's. I just don't understand.
I'm with Brian here, who's apparently just got off a purple sector 1. He's sitting in P11 at a 111.9. See what he could do.
And Brian's a fast guy. He's one of those guys that will surprise you. You'll watch him 3 races in a row sit around 8, 8 to 10th place, and then the next race he's in second and fighting for a win. And that's just how it was last season, and that's kind of how it is this season. It's just he's a weird driver.
Yeah.
He's got his highs and he doesn't even have lows. He's just got his highs and then
Yeah.
the median.
Well, he improves upon his time by 3/10, so stay in P11. But he was looking mighty quick there for a while in the Alpha. His Alpha teammate is currently sitting in P4, Josh Barnsley, with a 111.0. So the Ferrari team showing up, well, aside from the Haas's, but the Ferraris and the Alphas are having a very solid qualifying so far.
Yeah, and Josh Barnsley is the exact same way as Brian Hackman, I feel. Josh does have a couple more lows, I think. But normally they're right up there together. This one they're a little bit different in Q1, 4, and 11th. But they have their highs. They're shooting for podiums every once in a while, and then they're back to their medium like 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
So the Alfa Romeo, they're just consistent, and then every once in a while they just give out a performance.
Top 9 guys still in the pits. We're looking at Connor right now sitting in P14. He's got a 111.39s. He'll look to improve upon that coming down the front straight. And he does not. Lost it by about a second, so a little bit short on pace there. Let's go on with Snoop Francis here, who is... Oh, sorry, that's Jackie Muffin. Let's go on with Snoop Francis here, who is currently on his outlap, and he's been sideways 3 times. So I don't know if it's because he's kind of reserving and maybe wasn't expected to race at this time, but he just bumps the wall on the left too. It's almost like the setup is wrong, OG, right?
I mean, yes, but this is what I'll say. This is a very, very technical track, and when it when it's time for race day, when it's the race weekend, it's easy to tell who practiced and who didn't.
Mhm.
And that I think that's what we're seeing right now. And I'd just like to give an update on our drivers' championship leader, Johannes Ludwig. Um, he seems to have fallen ill with a little bit of narcolepsy. He had overslept,
Oh
didn't make
no.
it to the paddock in time, and so now Dom, who's a D3 driver, is in his place, and he's doing pretty good right now. He's in P9 with 2 minutes left in Q1, but so that is why your Division One championship leader is out of this race.
That's going to have huge championship implications because it looked like for a while no one was going to touch Johannes, right? And then here he is oversleeping, and now Dom's got to carry the weight of the Alpines.
Yeah,
And as a team, their qualifying performance hasn't been great so far, as we're still on with Snoop, hoping he can get something clean here as he sits in P20.
this just I'm not this is this isn't looking like a fantastic lap right now, and you just got to
Yeah.
wonder what's going on. I think you might be right with the setup thing. It's a practice issue, it's a setup issue. But if you're putting a 114 in Division 2, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, a little bit rough day of the office. Let's check in with Shaggy Muffin here, who's 3/10 up on his time. And he'll pull in and see if he can beat it so far. Coming down the front straight. He does by 6
Nice.
tenths. And Shaggy Muffin's done P4. The Red Bulls have locked out row 2.
So there's the Bulls right there. That's I mean, maybe we'll see something similar to the D3 race. That's kind of how it went in uh in our race. Buzzcod was right there ahead of me, and then I qualified right behind him, especially in Q2. That's just how it was. The Bulls were just right next together, and I'm wondering if we can get the same result. Hopefully this time they get a 1-2, but I don't know.
Yeah,
It'll
this
be
is
interesting to see.
this can be really interesting because in P1 we have Spanini, right? Of course, new Alpha Tower guy, Red Bull teammate. So I wonder, top 4 guys now, all Red Bull power units. So they're showing out today. I wonder if Mr. Sandunga gets any ideas about setting a gap between Garrett Elder. Maybe Spudini tries to hold him back a little bit and get his Red Bull teammates back up to the front.
You never know. It's like because this is Spoonini's like he's reserved in Division Two, but this is his real debut. And on a debut, you want to show out. So if Spanini gets pole position, which is not some magical fantasy, it could happen. If he gets it, I think he's gonna try to run away with it and show that he is here to stay.
Q1 coming to an end here, and the 5 drivers are out of Crispy, Mr. Drip, Florida, Snoop Francis, and Dome. And rough session for Chris. I mean, he got held up there on the first lap. You just don't know what happened. I mean, he was a tenth and a half off of the pace for P15. What could have been?
Yeah, truth, like, just so unfortunate. But, it did also go to show how fast these guys are. I think I ran a 12:7 in Q1, and I was in seventh place. And these guys are a second faster than that. Cole Quimmins is P15 with an 11:8, barely making the cut over Chris, who had an 11:9. So these guys, the bar is definitely raised from like they're just surpassing what D3 did. And they do it every week, but it's just how it is.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, too, OG, is Beamer a reserve from McLaren today as well?
Yes, Beamer is a reserve, and him and Spanini actually have quite the rivalry going on. They have about the same pace, give or take. Um, but Spanini's reserving in, or not Spanini, Beamer's reserving in for Dan Gutta this weekend, and he's also one to look out for.
Yeah, I know they have been tearing up the reserve races on Friday nights, and they've been going into practices and just everybody's been eating their dust. They're both quick.
Now let's see what they can do in Q2. We saw a lot of questionable calls in the Division 3 race tire strategy wise. And I'm just wondering if these guys are gonna fall for the same mistakes, or if they watched Division 3, or if they heard from their teammates what should happen, what you should do, definitely what not to do. I don't know how this is gonna go down, but I'm excited to see.
Well, now you were up top in D3, and you had the soft medium strat, right? If I
Hmm.
remember correctly. How did that work for you, right? Because I know that kind of the ideal is medium soft, right? Because you have to do the one stop. And the soft tires at the end on the low fuel wear a little bit less. And you get a little more grip, and you can run some quick laps at the end. But you did soft medium. So how was the tire wear for you at the end of that first stint? Like, would you have done your strategy differently?
No, I definitely would not. The soft medium, we had through the simulations we had done all week, we had devised that the soft medium is the strat for multiple reasons. Uh, Number one, it's Monaco. There's a high chance for an early safety car. So if there was a safety car, um, basically any time within the first like 10 laps, it could be lap 2, 3, 4, 6, doesn't matter. We're pitting on for the mediums and we're going all the way to the end. The second reason was that with those softs at the beginning, I started in P4. The people around me, or the person in front of me, Marino, started on the mediums,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to jump him at the start, and so we were able to build a little bit of a gap before our first pit, towards everyone else. Um, and so the soft medium strategy just worked really well for that. And then even though those softs are super, super fast at the end, it's almost impossible to pass. And so track
Right.
position is so important. So we went
Gaps
for
have
that
been built up.
undercut. Yeah. We went for that undercut knowing that they were going to be faster than us, but that we would just have to defend essentially.
Yeah. Well, you guys did that incredibly, right? It was a Red Bull 1-3, if I'm not mistaken. So great
Yep.
showing with you guys. Sid out first, almost uncharacteristically here in Q2. And we'll get on board as he tries to set a heater in mediums, trying to run that medium soft strategy. So, I mean, you got what, 6 medium runners? Five? 5 guys are going to at least go out on mediums so far and see how they can fare.
I think this is a lot less medium runners this time. I felt like everyone except for me and Buzz were on the mediums at least at the beginning of Q2. Um, as Brian Hackman just hit the wall a little bit, but I don't know these mediums. I personally don't like the mediums um, at all. But
Yeah, you know when I'm on them, I don't think they feel too bad. And then I had run the medium soft strategy, and I pitted around lap 29, and I was like, wow, it was like night and day.
yeah,
Softs were so
it's
much better.
crazy.
Yeah. Sid comes out of the tunnel, cuts the chicane really nicely here, starting to approach Pool. And he's got this line. He's going to go flat out fifth, flat out sixth, cuts the curve perfectly into the last chicane. Little bit of cut on the left hand side, doesn't lose control of the car. Moving into Rascass. Tight turn radius as downshifts into one. Back to the front straight. What is Sid going to set here in mediums? The first heater of
11.
Q2 is a 111.2.
That's pretty good for mediums though.
That is pretty good
It's
for
really
mediums.
good.
That was a clean looking lap. That was a clean looking lap. Big
Yeah.
Mama Frank with a 111.9 in softs. So yeah, that just kind of echoes how quick Sid's lap was in mediums. I might sit on that for a bit, right? If I'm him, I might go back in and see because for the medium runners too, they want to conserve a little bit of tire wear.
Yeah, I'd wait, till about the 4 minute mark, and then see where everyone's at, and then if I'm comfortable, then I'm staying in. But, if these people switch to softs, they're all going to be in the 110s, I believe. And so, I don't know. I feel like, I just don't know. I feel like people are going to have to go out on the softs, especially like as the track gets rubbered in more, especially those final 2 minutes of this session. I think 110s are just going to be flying on the board one after another.
It's a little bit of a game of chicken, right? How strong is your medium time, or how strong do you think it is, and how late do you want to risk potentially going out on softs?
Just trying to think of other possible strategy options. Because I I did see a couple people dabble with the two stop as a potential strategy option. It wasn't caught up at the end, but it's so hard to pass. The Sleek goes 110.7 in those mediums. Unreal.
Wow, fantastic pace. Yeah, the two-stop just didn't seem in the cards, right? I mean, the only way I would consider doing a two-stop is if I got wing damage, which of course is very likely, right? So we might say that too. Someone clips his wing, adjusts to a two-stop strategy, and uses quick tires to make up a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, I think something about 80% of the grid in Division 3 had to pit for wing damage or something like that. I believe that was the statistics. It's probably not exactly accurate. There might be a couple of one-offs here and there that we missed, but
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of carnage in that respect. I mean, still no safety cars. It looks like there's a caution there with an Aston and an Alfa Romeo and Rascass as Shaggy Muffin comes up right behind it, and he's trying to set his first heater in mediums. Comes around to the DRS zone in the front stretch. He will set
that's pretty good.
111.9. 111.9 in mediums, good for P8.
But he's gonna have to switch to softs if he wants to make it to Q3.
Yeah. And while we were chatting about that, OG Sid went around again in mediums. As he'll come in this lap, but he just set a 110.9.
So both Ferraris up there right now, both mediums, so they're running probably the same strategy. They're both in the 110s on the mediums. That's super impressive.
Yeah. Sid getting out of the way of, who was that? Was that Josh Barnsley over there, or? No, it looks like Brian Hackman, who hasn't set a heater yet. He comes out of pool into the final chicane, cuts that curb nicely. That curb is so dangerous, and it unsettles the car a little bit. He'll lose some time. He'll be able to set something as a banker, but he went really quick through pool and just took a little too much of the curb coming out of that last chicane and lost some of the car. And that's something that, I mean, I know I struggled with it in practice, and top drivers really nail how to cut that corner perfectly, and just on that one run, he didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't understand. I was just told to ignore the curbs as best as I possibly can. But those really fast drivers, I think it's another line thing. They hit it at just the right angle, at just the right speed to where it doesn't really unsettle the car. But any miscalculation in that can lead to like just absolute carnage.
Oh yeah, I mean, you spin
So
it,
they
and
got to be perfect.
that could have been what happened to Stu Francis, because I'll tell you, a lot of times in the practice Grand Prix, I've been sideways coming out of one of that curbs that he's hit. So I bet that had a factor. We look right now, Red Bulls and Ferrari leading the way. Row 1 is split. We got a soft tire runner and a medium tire runner. And then row 2, Sid and Shaggy Muffin, both in mediums. So 3 medium tire runners in the first 2 rows.
And Garrett's on that soft strategy, and I think that is the strategy. But things do change. They're not completely different, but things evolve like division to division. What'll work in Division 3 won't work in Division 2, and sometimes it's the inverse. What'll work in Division 2 just won't work in Division 3. And so I'm not gonna just write it off and say the medium strategy is not the play, but because these guys are completely different than us. But I don't know. I do think the softs, especially if Sid has to start on softs. He's on 5 lap old mediums.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that to you, OG. I mean, he's got to, right? I mean, he's on what are now almost scrub medium sets. He's got to start on those. He's going to have no grip. He did flip-flop with Sleek and put in a 110.6, good for P2, but Spoonini's just inserted himself in there, and by 300ths is behind Sid for P3.
Yes, Spanini right up there.
Yeah.
A couple drivers still haven't set their lap yet. Neither Alpine has set a lap, and Ethan has had struggles getting out there and setting a valid lap. And when you're leaving it up to the last 5 minutes, sometimes I don't know what the strategy there is.
Yeah, this is tough. We're on with Dom, and he's got a tough road ahead, right? Because he's subbing in for the championship leader, right? So quite big shoes to fill as he comes in and tries to set his first heater. Cuts the chicane nice, a little bit slow, but aligned it on the curbs very well. And you can just kind of see the difference here. But he goes flat through Pool. See if he cuts his curb. He cuts it a little bit, keeps control of the car nicely. Coming into Rascas, making that turn tight. Be sure not to catch the right rear on that corner. Goes to the front straight in the DRS zone. He'll look to set. 112.0. So good for P13 currently, but that was on mediums. That was on mediums. So I wonder if he'll come in for a run on softs.
You know, if I'm Dom, I don't know what that play was. Maybe just to get another feel for the track, but you had Q1 to do that. I just personally don't understand. It has to be just to get a feel for the track.
Yeah. Think about Frank. Oh, getting out of the way of Connor there on his heater. This track is tricky to be respectful, and of course all the drivers are trying to do that as Dom goes around before the tunnel. And he was on his in lap, I believe, unless he was trying to do a consecutive heater. But it's kind of hard to be, you know, there's not a lot of room to move over. You got to be really careful in qualifying when you're leaving room for your fellow drivers.
Yeah. Dom just runs through that.
Mr. Sandunga and Alex just set 110.8 and a 110.9 respectively, going in between Sleek and Shaggy Muffin. They're sitting at 5-6 because for a moment, spots 1 through 7 were owned by exclusively Red Bull and Ferrari. So Mercedes finally getting some good quality laps in here, sitting 5 and 6.
Yeah, and Alex, I know for a fact I've said it every week, but he's just so underrated. He's in that Aston Martin seat, and he has a good shot to make it to Q3. It's just, he's a good driver. He's a consistent driver. He just hasn't hit those highs yet. He hasn't been fighting for those podiums yet. He stays kind of where he's at. He fights with the Brian Hackemans. The difference is Brian and Josh, you know, every once in a while will just kind of have like a crazy performance, and we're just really waiting on Alex to have that performance where he's fighting for top 3.
Tough spot to try to get out of the way as Ethan Patel was trying to make some room for Beamer. He'll come through Rascas to try to make his first heater on soft tires with just under 3 minutes left in Q3. We'll right on board.
Oh.
Ooh, did he tap the wall on the left?
Start. Yeah, tap the wall and start. So it scrubbed all his speed away, and gotta hope for no damage. But I mean, he has to set a lap. So
he's almost got to do 2 in a row here, OG.
Oh yeah, he does. He can't go into the pits, and if he does have damage, he can't fix it. It's just not enough time.
I think we're seeing with these challenging tracks, right? And Suzuka was a little bit like this too, because it can be demanding. Is you got to go out early and at least set something, because now you find yourself, and he's been in this position before, OG. I can't remember if it was last week when you were off and I had PBJ, or the week before, but this has happened to him before. He waits late and struggles. And look, sometimes he comes out and he's P3 and it's banging, but here might be a little bit more of a challenge. He hits the wall on the right.
But I mean, we saw this exact same tune in Silverstone. He invalidated, hit, crashing out not crashing out, but spinning out in Q2, and with like 20 seconds left, he set a lap finally.
He did.
But I mean, that right there, that's not a good start. He was basically starting, almost stopped. You got to roll into that, and so this lap, he's got a lot of time to make up.
Terrible turn one, same
yeah,
vote.
This is. So that, I think that's an indicator of damage right there.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of wing damage affecting the radius. Usually you can take that in 4th gear too. He's sitting in 3rd as he comes down into the pre-hairpin area, where make sure you don't pull a Rosberg over there, lock up your brakes, pull over there, but he'll cut a little bit of curb on the hairpin here, and yeah, he's looking like he has some damage slowing it down.
And it's just 50 seconds left. Just a consequence of, as you said, not going out and setting a banker relatively early on. We're not saying you have to do it at the very beginning, but when there's like 7 minutes left, 6 minutes left, you might want to think about setting a lap.
Yeah, while we were chatting about that, Garrett Elders pulled into P1 with a 110.0, followed by Sid at a 110.6, still on mediums, which he's sitting on. So you were right, OG. This track's starting to get rubbered in, and we've seen the 110s roll through. Josh Barnsley has found himself now in P6 and the Alfa Romeo with a 1:10.8 as Ethan Patel finally sets a first lap at a 1:13.0, bringing up P15 right now.
Yeah, so I think this is about everybody coming in. I mean, Dom has one more lap he's about to do on his softs. He's trying to squeak in. He's got to get a 1:11.2. Definitely in the realm of possibilities for Dom, who's, shouldering that Alpine right now with Ethan Patel out with damage and Johannes out. As Dom just said a purple sector
Wow.
1.
D3 represent.
But I will say this, we were on board with him during D3. He said a purple sector 1 followed by a purple sector 2, and in the final 2 turns, what could have been pole, he bottled.
Shame.
So maybe this is a shot at redemption for Dom. I don't know.
Coming into the tunnel, cuts that chicane nicely, just the right amount of curve. He comes and makes the first left-hander to pull, misses the wall there, very good.
In a
Almost
purple
flat in
sector
6th
2.
gear, wow. Keeps control of the car through that chicane. He'll head into Rascass. Careful on that last turn. Little bit of slow.
Oh, he went into
all the way down to
neutral. He
neutral.
bottled it.
Oh.
No, Dom, not again. What could have been?
Ooh, he barely improves upon
No.
his time. He's sitting in P13. 2 purple sectors and a nightmare of a sector 3. Rough. But he's got the pace, OG. Like, he has it. He's got to put it together.
That's just so demoralizing. Happened in D3 and it happened in D2. But it wasn't even the same mistake. He just went down to the neutral.
Yeah, a little bit of disconnect with the gears. Shame.
But with that being said, I mean, he showed he can hang with these guys except for the very end. So that's gotta mean something. It's gotta boost morale maybe a little bit. The silver lining in that lap.
Yeah, he's got the pace if he can put it together during the race. Rough qualification for Alpine as they find themselves both eliminated along with Beamer, Connor, Dom, Cole, and Ethan Patel bringing up the rear. So Big Mama Frank by the skin of his teeth making it into Q3 at P10 at a 1:11.255, just under 3/10 faster than Beamer, the reserve in the McLaren. So we got a pretty interesting Q3 coming up here. 3 medium tire runners. We'll start on the race on those tires. I think you got to keep an eye on Sid on the race start. I mean, he's on some old mediums.
Yeah, he's on super old mediums. And so I'm almost anticipating him to get jumped. And I just want to say something else. I had put a poll in the chat asking if Alex was going to make Q3. 80% of those people said no. And guess who made it into Q3?
Alex.
Alex made it. So maybe this is the race we were talking about where he finally, steps up and, shoots for the moon, basically.
Mr. Underrated. I mean, and this is the race to do it, right? Use track position, be clean, park the bus, and look, he's winning, right? He's in Q3. He can put himself in a really good position for a race start, and he's got a great chance of making it stick if he drives a clean race.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's what this is really all about, is driving a clean race, not necessarily a super fast race.
We'll see who comes out first to an open track. It looks like it could be an Alfa Romeo if they're getting in their car now. I don't know. Nope. It's an Aston. It must be Alex over there, eager to show it. Oh, look, AlphaTauri Ferrari must have pulled out in front of him, so now he's third in line. It's such a tight pit exit too, right? This skinny
So
lane, and you have to
bizarre.
go through Saint Devote here. Staying on the right-hand side of that yellow line. It's very tough.
And especially when in the race, people are pitting, they're coming out of the pits, you're flying through, you can't even see them. It's almost blind. It just seems like I understand the track is historical and that's why we kind of have it, but I feel like there's got to be some safety precautions made because you can't even see these people coming out of the pits.
No, and I was chatting with my team about that too. Kind of like how I love the atmosphere of Monaco. I love the track itself. I think it's fun. I just love everything about the Grand Prix weekend, but the racing is subpar,
Yeah.
right? And it's just such a shame because it's so iconic, and it's hard to find some good quick racing here. So why don't we ride with Spanini, who's the lone AlphaTauri here in Q3 in his first official race in ZRL. And he put it in P2 in the second round of qualifying. So he's got the pace to be up there. So he's
Yeah, he's definitely got the pace, and I, I'm rooting for him on this one. I don't know what time to expect from him though.
yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if the track is rubbered in enough for 109s just yet, or if that's really realistic as a quali time for these guys. But didn't he get a 110.0 or around there?
So Garrett got the 110.0 into Q2, and I expect him to get low 109s in Q3. Garrett was definitely saving himself,
Wow.
and I'm wondering how many of the rest of these guys were saving themselves as well.
Man, a low 109 is quite the time. You said he's what, top 200 in Monaco, OG? Garrett is?
Yeah, at least earlier in the week he was like 194th and with like a 108.5.
Yeah. You can see those quick guys like Spanini really cut that curve well and can keep control of the car. A little bit of a slow entry into Rascas there. Sure he lost time there. We'll see what he sets. First time of Q3 is a 111.0. So I think there's a lot of room to improve there as Sleek goes a 110.2 and followed behind him. Oh good, Brian Hackman stayed back a little bit to get something valid.
And Alex goes 110.7.
Wow.
So I think Josh Barnsley is going to be the next one to set a time.
Josh will be the next one, yeah. Except the alphas a bit. Josh with a 111.3. And Brian with a 111.4.
So yeah, they're just so close together.
Yeah. A little far away to try to do any type of toe action there. The Sid pulls in a 112.2, which is something that I'm sure he can improve on. As Brian goes into the wall a little bit, tapped it on the right and on the left. He'll probably have damage.
Oh yeah, I think he's gonna have to pit after this one. But you know, we said it earlier in the qualifying. You know, they go in sets of 2. So I think Spanini, he already dove back into the pits, but you know, these guys are just gonna keep doing lap after lap and just kind of building their speed up throughout this third session of qualifying, and by the end I think it's going to be absolutely rapid.
Yeah, Shaggy Buffett on a little bit of a heater. He looked like he was 2/10 up on his time last one. He said a 111.1, good for P5 as he comes into the tunnel. Let's see what he could set. See, now it looks like he's slowing down. Then he might be on an in lap.
So there, Brian did dive into the pits, did have damage. Sid coming back to the line.
Did he improve?
Just a little bit, or not just a little bit, by about a second to go 111 flat. I think he's going again right after this. Nope, he backs out.
He does back out of there. Let's get on with Garrett Elder, who... Nope, did he... Is he on a heater this one? I think he might be. Looks like he was slowing down, maybe reserving some ERS on the last lap, and then see if he takes this as a heater.
Really late apex right there. That's how you have to do it. I struggle with that. It feels unnatural.
But when you nail it though, I feel like it feels really smooth,
true.
right? You get that late apex and you can kind of cut it really nicely going to the next one. It feels good. Garrett Elder coming in the tunnel, looking pretty clean so far. Big downhill braking zone coming in here to the first chicane. Got to cut that curb just the right way. It looks like he does.
That was beautiful.
Oh, almost an invalidation, but that's exactly how you have to do it. He'll come in a pull all on the throttle here into 6th. Hard braking zone. Cuts the curb on the left perfectly after a purple
Beautifully.
sector 2. Into Rascas. Little bit of slow on entry. See if he can exit quicker. He does. That
Out
looked a little bit
early.
cleaner.
And he goes 109.7.
Wow. 109.7. Very clean.
And he's going to put on another set of tires after this and try to improve even more. Trying to get into the 109 2 to 3s is
Wow.
probably the goal right now. But Big Mama Frank, I believe, is starting his first hot lap of Q3. Both Mercedes made it in, so
Both
looking up to
Mercedes
them.
making it in. Hopefully starting a trend of some stronger qualifying performances. Though we've seen their race pace improve greatly as well, right? So even though it was some kind of tough early qualifyings for them, they've really kind of made the most of where they were and improved. I've
I
noticed that.
believe Mr. Sandunga had a podium last week, yeah?
Yeah, actually, you know what? I think he did. Yeah, so Mercedes guys are coming alive as Big Mama Frank cut that hairpin
They're
really
on
nice.
the
Have you noticed
up and
the
up.
fast guys can take the hairpin in second?
I have not. So maybe that's
Ooh,
oh, he hits the ball. So his second to play for the hairpin. Big Mama Frank will have to contemplate that
yeah,
as he gets back to the pits.
yeah.
As Sleek is retired from the session, I don't know if he crashed out.
He may have done that. It does look like he crashed out maybe a little bit before in the tunnel. Maybe he crashed out in the tunnel.
I I don't know. He
Well,
may have just retired normally, but with however much time we have left in the session, I don't see why you would.
well, Mr. Sandunga just at a 110.4, good for P3, right in front of Alex, who's in P4 at a 110.7. So speaking of the Mercedes drivers, I think Toto Rivas would be quite pleased with a Row 2 lockout.
Oh yeah, 100%. He'd be especially pleased if Big Mama Frank gets up there as well, but he's got to be proud of Alex right now in P4. Definitely has time to gain as well. So, I mean, 3 minutes left. We're about to see some, like a big shootout, I believe. 3 minutes left.
Yeah, I think so too. Mr. Sandunga looks like he's a 10th up on his last lap too, so can he even improve and challenge Sleek? Oh, we cut that. Oh, just a bit too much, and he invalidates.
Dang. You got
Shame.
to be on the edge. It's so hard.
Yeah, this track can be quite unforgiving. I think we will see some track limit penalties as we usually do, but they'll be hard, especially the guys that are trying to push and try to cut just a hair more of that curb. You know, they could get. Spudini looks like he invalidated already. I didn't know if he was on a heater or not.
So I'm going to tell you 3 guys we got to look out for in this, lap 3-minute shootout. Garrett Elder, Sid, and I'm going to say Big Mama Frank. If he puts together, he can do it. As Sid just hit the wall right
Ooh,
after I said that, so.
right after a purple sector 2. Yikes.
What?
Oh,
Okay, so we had another little moment right there. Luckily, he was ghosted this time.
yeah, he'll abort that as he catches his right rear on the entry of Rascas. And man, if I'd a nickel for every time I'd done that, but I don't think
Oh,
we've seen it yet for the D2 guys. We saw Shaggy Muffin sideways over there. Do they have time? I don't know if they have time to get back out, OG. I think they may be done.
it'll be hard. It's a minute 10 lap. If they can get back out there, they have to speed to the line. They can make it back, but only if they leave right now.
Yeah.
And Garrett Elder, he's the man to watch right now. He's on provisional pole. He's in sector 3 right now. Coming to the start-finish straight. We're about to see what he can do.
His only competition might be Mr. Sandunga, who's on 3-lap old softs, just at a 110 3 zeros. 110 flat.
Flat, dang.
So I don't know if he's going to go for another one, but Garrett's going to try to improve upon his pole.
apex.
Ooh, very close to the wall there on the right-hand side, but he keeps it nicely. Hard braking zone as you get prepared for the infamous Monaco hairpin. And look, he takes it in second gear too. Look at
Takes
that.
it
Fast
super
drivers.
wide as
He
well.
did. Yeah, may have lost a little bit of time on there as he gets ready to go to the tunnel. Cuts that really nicely. Early on the power. I can't tell if he thinks this lap is already lost. Big downhill braking zone here as he tries to cut it for the chicane, and he does. It looks a little slow.
Yeah, he
And I'm on,
looks a little unsure, but he
yeah.
is on provisional pole. He's 2 tenths back, so he just didn't feel it. Still 109.7, nothing to sneeze at.
No, 109.7 is nothing to sneeze at all. We're on with Alex right now is trying to improve upon his P5 time. He's 5 tenths behind Sleep for P4, so that may be a tall hill to climb, but as it comes into Rascast, we'll see if he has the pace to at least improve a little bit on his time on the leaderboards, and carries a lot of speed there, carries it really nicely early on the power into the DRS zone, beats it by
And he
two
goes
tenths,
just
not enough.
barely not enough. Yep, 2 tenths back from a top 5 start, which would have been huge for Alex and Aston Martin. But still, P6, you got to be excited for that as well.
Yeah, P6 is great for Alex. Yeah, so he'll sit there nicely. I mean, look, if you can keep P6 and if he finishes anywhere between 4 and 7, I think that's a big dub for the Aston Martin.
I agree 100%. They're not up there fighting with these guys, and Alex, he has his time to see what it's like, and we'll see where it ends up.
Big Mama Frank pulls into the pits as he invalidated his last lap, and Q3 will come to a close. Our front row, Garrett Elder, Mr. Sandunga, the Mercedes with a P2 qualify. Very good out of him. Josh Barnsley in P3, Spunini P4 in his first race. Sleek P5, Alex Duarte 6, followed by Big Mama Frank, Sid, Shaggy Muffin, and Brian Hackman.
I mean, Josh Barnsley with the top 3 start. That's
Very good.
absolutely massive.
Very good showing for the Alpha. Ahead of both of his Ferrari teammates. Sid, a little bit disappointing in P7, huh?
Yeah, and he's gonna be on P7 on 6 lap old mediums.
Mm,
That's gotta be rough.
tough. So we'll see what his strategy kind of turns into as he'll try to maintain position at the start and stay at least within the top 10.
But yeah, Garrett Elder starting from pole position. I think this was definitely the pick going into the weekend. Um, if you were to bet on anyone getting pole, if you were to bet on anyone winning this race, it's Garrett Elder. Um, Mr. Sandunga, I've been practicing with him all week as well. I mean, he's been improving in every practice session we've been in. And the first one, I was kind of keeping up with him. He was obviously faster, but in the second one, he was so much faster.
Yeah,
So he's just building it up throughout the week. And, race day, the peak is here, and we're seeing it with the P2 qualifying.
very exciting full qualification, of course, here for Monaco. So we love to see that as everyone starts to get loaded in for the race. And I don't know about you, man, but for me, this is where the sweats kind of start, right? Especially a high-profile race like Monaco.
Yeah,
Get
the
very amped up.
shakes. You got to be weary of, a couple. Maybe people are super, super nervous, especially in the front. Uh, and they maybe slip their foot there at the start. You get a little bit of a drive through that ruins your entire race.
Oh yeah, especially here. No, that's crippling.
Now, one thing I don't expect people to do unless there's a lap 1 safety car or you crash out lap 1 or spin out, lose a wing, whatever, is if you only go onto the hards, really, if it's lap 1 or 2. I think maybe 3, but after that, you have to go mediums. The hards are so slow. And we saw that with, I can't remember his full name, so I apologize, but Ian in Division 3, he was keeping up with me and Cushy,
Mm-hmm.
and then he pitted again to the hards, and the pace fall off was just tremendous. So soft and mediums, really only only tires you can drive on those hards are just way, way too slow.
Now let's take a look at the tire choices here. Looking like out of the top 10, we have 3 medium runners. Both Ferraris and Sleek and Sid set their fastest lap on medium tires, as well as Shaggy Muffin and the Red Bull. So, interesting strats here at the mid to rear end of the field. We see Dom starting on hards. Big Mama Frank, Ethan Patel, and Chris are running the soft tire strategy. Dome is on hards. And we see Drip, Florida, and Snoop Francis going medium soft. So 2 hard runners at the start. What is the mentality there, OG? What do you think?
You got nothing to lose, I suppose. You know, with Dome, it makes a little bit more sense. You're in P19, but Dom, you're outside of the top 10 by a couple positions. The hards, you're going to be so much slower with full race trim. So what he's got to hope for right now is he has a fantastic start and he doesn't lose too much positions. Because if he loses positions, it's impossible to catch back up.
Yeah. Let's ride on with Spoonini here in the front. And something to notice too, Mr. Sandunga got out of the formation lap for whatever reason, so he'll be starting on cold tires, which could be a big deal here as he tries to maintain P2. 5 lights. Lights out, and away we go. Mr. Sandunga just did a good start, tries to get him to the right of Garrett Elder. He'll try to, he overtakes him on
Wow!
the outside. Wow, perfect view from Spoonini, and Spoonini hits the wall on the left-hand side.
Well,
Mr.
that right there,
Sandunga with the
Josh
lead.
Barnsley caused contact with Spanini. I believe that's what that was. So Josh had hit Garrett Elder in the back right there as well, which, you know, Garrett was a little bit unsure going into that turn 1, and now Mr. Sanduga is in the lead. That's a crazy start.
Wow, crazy. We see Alex here in P6, Sid in P7, Brian Hockman in P8, Beamer and Shaggy Muffin having a little go at it already as Beamer locks up P9, and here we see the first, the hairpin traffic jam we always see on the first couple laps, as is Monaco. But right now, Mr. Sandunga with a fantastic start, and he's in P1, first into the tunnel here in Monaco.
Yeah, and that dude, it's so hard to pass. Garrett's going to have to get him in the pits. So right now, the Red Bull team and the Mercedes team, they have their brightest minds. You know, I'm sure Revis is in there. I'm sure Duncan's in the Red Bull one. And they're just chatting strategy right now. What is the best solution to this? How can Mr. Sandunga stay in the lead? How can Garrett get the lead? It's going to be it's a strategy battle right now. They're not going to be battling on track. So we're going to see the implications. We're going to see what's really going on in 20 laps.
Yeah.
We're going to see how this really turned out. So
they're crunching numbers there, and I wanted to ride on with Spoonini, so he indeed did have wing damage, so just a nightmare start for him in his first full-time race in ZRL. He'll come out, kind of towards the rear end of the pack as he has to redo his front wing. We're in now with Alex, who finds himself in P5, encroaching on Sleek, on soft tires, which we think may be the more powerful strategy here. And we were just talking about it in quali. He's in great shape. Someone else we're talking about in early part of the race, Dom, who started on hards, finds himself up to P10.
So, he was actually, we mentioned that if he somehow survives the start and doesn't get passed, then maybe it'll be okay. I don't know how he did it. It's a miracle, but he's up 3 positions with those hards. And so, maybe the extremely bold strategy call will come back to help him, but I don't know.
He just spins out coming out of the tunnel, so that's the problem with the grip. He now finds himself in P14. Dome has just DNF'd, and he'll find himself as the first retiree. So carnage already as we're on with Dom. Florida hits the wall on the right-hand side. So the mid to rear end of the field, chaos.
So are we going to have a repeat of qualifying where both Haas are already out? Because Florida's still just, he hit the wall. I mean, he seems to be okay. Did he have wing? Yeah, he's diving into the pits to fix that wing, but
he'll dive into the pits for
wing
damage.
In the Haas garage?
And a lot of pit stops here. We see Sid is in too, so he must have had some damage there too. Biggest winners and losers so far. Snoop Francis, who could not get a lap done in qualifying, finds himself up 11 spots in P9. Florida right now, a big loser. He was down 9, and Spanini down 7. Biggest position changes so far.
Francis, that's incredible how the crazy turnaround from qualifying to the race.
Monaco, baby.
Weird.
Anything can
That's
happen.
just
And
Monaco.
now we find ourselves with 6 hard tire runners, 4 of which are probably going to try to go to the end of the race.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna pull up the tires real fast and see what everyone's doing. So yeah, those hards, Spanini, Ethan, Shaggy, and Connor are definitely gonna be going to the end. But if there's another safety car, which we still have 19 drivers, I wouldn't be surprised if there's another safety car. They're definitely gonna be going in for the softs. Those hards are just so bad.
Yeah, it could be something. We saw Sid had an early pit, and he just came through and passed Ethan Patel for P12. We're on with Garrett Elder, right? Monaco Wizard over here in P2, being held off by Mr. Sandunga, who had just a phenomenal start in P1.
Phenomenal start.
Man, Todorius has to be beaming right now. Of course, Sandunga in the lead, right? But you've got Alex in P5, Beamer, who finds himself in P6 after not making Q3, and Big Mama Frank up a couple spots in P7. Very good showing for Mercedes so far.
So here's where the strategy comes in. Mr. Sandunga is in first, right? Cole Quimmins, who is not a member of Red Bull, but he is in the Honda chat. They're all in the same radio right now. He's 21 seconds back from Mr. Sandunga. When Mr. Sandunga pits, he needs to get in front of him and hold. So Cole's on the mediums, and he needs to just hold him back. Hold him back as best he can. But the engineers have to release both of these drivers when they have the most clean air available. And dude, there's just so many different mind games going on, so many different drivers. Dude, it's actually intense. May not be so intense on track, but just like the battles within the paddock are just crazy.
Now, how long
Wow!
can they...
Garrett Elder just passed Mr. Sandunga. Mr. Sandunga had a little bit of a moment coming coming to the exit or the entrance of the tunnel, and so now Garrett Elder is in the lead. The strategy calls are still up, so everything that we just said where the battle's still in the paddock is still true. These guys have only swapped one position. They're still neck and neck, but Garrett Elder is now in the lead.
And that's huge, right? Because if Garrett inherently has a little bit more pace than Mr. Sandunga, then there's a risk of him kind of pulling away if this is kind of one of his best tracks. We also see Mr. Sandunga is the first one to get a penalty for track limit, so maybe pushing a little bit too hard as he tries to defend. So really interesting as Alex is the second one to get some track limit penalties. So after we were just praising the Mercedes paddock, they both get track limit penalties, and it never fails, man. The commentator's curse.
Yeah, it's a major commentator's curse.
Yeah.
Spanini
and Sid. Sorry, OG. Spanini and Sid in to pit again. Their second pit stop of the day here in lap 6, and a bunch of drivers in again.
So there had to have been some sort of pile up, or just one after another, where they just hit each other, broke each other's wings. Because Spanini got a new wing. I believe Sid got a new wing. And so yeah, this is Sid down in P15, and this is the race where he needed to overtake Johannes as the driver's champion, and it's not going well right now.
That's going pretty well for Dom, who started kind of towards the back on hard tires, and he finds himself in P9, doing really well, trying to maybe make up some time on Cole, but I think primarily he's trying to hold off Brian and run his strategy. So it looks like Alex just went ahead and passed Josh Barnsley, who comes in on lap 7, and it looks like he had wing damage, so he's going to have a wing replacement. Man, he'll have to try, 31 laps on those mediums, OG? That sounds tough.
I think I pitted around lap 9, and so last 5-6 laps are awful. Last 10 laps are hard, but those last 5 are definitely awful.
Ooh,
but
a little bit of action as Snoop Francis lost to come out of the tunnel, and he's going to retire.
Wow.
He went right into the wall. We were on board with Sid, who was trying to make a move, and it's almost like his brakes just failed, and he flew out of the tunnel into the wall.
What happened to Snoop this weekend, dude? I will never know.
It was looking a little more promising for him in a second because he was making up some ground, and And it doesn't, as it looks like there's another car around. Oh, that's Stu Francis out on the map as everybody tries to go around it. I don't think there's going to be a safety car for this.
Which I find kind of weird, right? It's a super narrow track, and I get it's not like a high-speed area, but I mean, it's basically a car just parked, leaving the rest of the drivers just go one direction only. I guess I don't understand why there wouldn't be a safety car right there.
Yeah, so we're on with Dom, who just passed the records that have just gotten cleaned up. So no safety car, 2 DNFs so far in Snoop Francis and Dome. As we're on with Dom on his 6-lap old hards, who is trying to make his strategy work. Something else to note too is Mr. Sandunga
Yep.
has slipped to P6. So did he have damage or something that we missed
No.
in the carnage of the rear end of the field, or?
I believe he went for the undercut on Garrett, and huge to note is he came out right behind Big Mama Frank, and he came out ahead of Cole. And that
He
was the big
did.
one. He needed to come out ahead of Cole, and he made it happen. And so now Garrett's got to push a little bit more, make sure this undercut doesn't work. So when Garrett pits, we're going to see how this all ends up. It's going to be close again.
Yeah, I was trying to look at the gaps real quick, and then all of a sudden Mr. Sandunga is in P6. So he's going to try to make it to the end on his medium tires. Garrett Elder has built up a 5-second gap in front of Sleek in P2 on his mediums.
But right now, the gap between Mr. Sandunga and Garrett Elder is 21 seconds. You need a 20-second gap to possibly get in front. So I don't think 21 seconds, 21.8, especially 22 seconds, I don't think it's going to be able to cut it if he wants to pass when Garrett goes into the pits, but it's going to be close.
Josh Barnsley just set the fastest lap in the Alpha at a 1:12.6. We're on with the other Alpha, and Brian Hackeman, who's behind Dom, who just got a little bit of wing damage. We saw his end plate fall off. So I wonder if, as there is a caution, looks like it was cleared up, but Dom is looking mighty slow as he tries to hold off. And Brian Hackman is losing some time here. Oh, he almost crashes into the back of him. Finally gets around the left-hand side. Great driving there. And he's finally clear. Surprised Dom didn't pull in.
Just so slow.
Yeah. Well, I think that plus his damages. He goes into neutral again. Look, Ochi. I don't know what. So, some shifting problems with Dom since Q2, I think. Q1.
And there goes the other Haas. So both Haas, Florida and Dome, are out of the race within the first 10 laps. Florida just parked it, or not parked it, but right out the exit of the tunnel. That was weird.
Yeah, interesting. Mr. Sandunga just set the fastest lap. He's currently fighting with Garrett Elder, who just came out of his pit behind Mr. Sandunga. So there it is. That's the battle. So they'll both go to the end. And Garrett Elder is on 2-lap fresher tires, but does not have a 3-second penalty right now. A little bit of a lag spike there?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm glad that wasn't just me, but that seemed like quite a major lag spike. Garrett's now 2.5 seconds behind, is what my interval says.
Yeah, same here. For a second, I thought that Garrett Elder was going to pull a Nico Rosberg, but he didn't. But now the gap is 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, that
It doesn't look like he has damage. Interesting.
That was weird.
Yeah. Let's hop on with Spudini here, who is on the same 4-lap old mediums as Sid is, who's already pitted twice, still finds himself in P11. Trying to fight off Spudini. Into the hairpin. Cutting that curb just right. Sometimes that curb can kind of like push you over it if you hit it the right way.
Yeah. And so we have 4 people out of the race already, with 2 Haas of Florida in Dome, Snoop Francis in the Williams, and Shaggy Muffin.
Shaggy Muffin is
Red
out.
Bull.
Must have missed that as Mr. Sandunga goes for the pass around Beamer right before the hairpin, and he's going to make it stick. Very clean around.
Wow.
Probably the most famous turn on the F1 calendar as he goes into the tunnel.
Absolutely massive, putting another car between him and Garrett. Absolutely massive.
Now, I don't know how long that car is going to be there. We see Beamer on 10-lap old sauce, and I'd be willing to bet that he's going to pull in now to the pits.
But Mercedes McLaren has that connection. I don't know how close Sandunga and Beamer are if they're, relaying radio messages to each other, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
Beamer,
maybe one lap to slow him up. Yes, he's going to do it. He's going to stay out and start an 11th lap on his softs. And yeah, I bet he's trying to hold up Garrett Elder for as long as he can, which I think is a great strategy.
and it definitely looks like it's working. Garrett's having to take, that final turn slow and the first turn pretty slow in comparison.
Beamer parking the bus here, and if he times it right, if Drip can keep pace, maybe he gets DRS around Drip, although I think he's going to have more pace, and he's going to overtake the lapped car before that.
It's just the thing with the Mercedes, they just have so many allies on the field. Obviously they're racing with each other, but it does help when Sandunga is surrounded by a Mercedes and a Mercedes. Even though they're going to race you, they're not going to try anything necessarily.
Right. As Drip bails before the chicane to get out of the way of Beamer and Garrett Elder.
Dealing with that, yeah.
Look at that gap, OG, between Beamer and Mr. Sandunga. It is now 4.5 seconds. In one lap, Beamer has held up Garrett Elder 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's...
And now he pulls in.
Yeah.
Huge. Alex pulls in as well. He finds himself in P3. He may try to come out somewhere around P7, P8 if he's lucky, as Garrett will now try to chip away at the gap that has been formed between him and Mr. Sandunga, who's effectively leading this race.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder... I really don't know how they're going to get this back. He's just going to have so much space, and, we haven't mentioned him. He's run a super boring but clean race so far, but Sleek is in P1. He started on the mediums, but he is a Monaco winner. He's just running by himself right now.
As Ethan Patel has just DNF'd as well.
Wow.
And Drip will go ahead and pass him on the last lap. So 5 DNFs, no safety cars. We are a third of the way through Monaco in D2. And, man, tons of carnage. They've already had more DNFs than D3. It's because they're pushing.
But again, no safety cars. I don't understand.
Yeah, no safety cars. That's a little odd. Alex Duarte came out in P6 after his pit stop, so he's on fresh mediums. He'll go to the end. Josh Barnsley is on 6-lap-old mediums with a 3.5-second gap, but he's got to make those last all the way until the end. Cole in P4 on 12-lap-old mediums himself. However, look at that gap, OG, between Garrett Elder and Mr. Sandunga. Looks like it's already gone shorter by a second.
Yeah, Garrett Elder just put in the fastest lap. He's going to be pushing like crazy just to try to get right next to him and just force a mistake. That's what he's got to do. It's so hard to pass, especially hard to pass someone who has, maybe not as much pure pace, but pretty close.
Yeah.
It's so hard to pass, and so you got to get right behind him and just force a mistake there.
We hopped on with Josh Barnsley for a second. It looked like he needed to change his front wing again. So he'll probably be on what are now scrub mediums, unless he had a set of mediums left over. And now he'll make it to the end on there, as Garrett Elder is encroaching on Mr. Sandunga in a very, very quick manner.
But I mean, this happened in the Division 3 race, right? Buzzgod was ahead, and I can't remember his name. I'm going to call him Brock. Brock was, catching him, and he caught up to him, but you can't pass.
Right. I think it was Luke that was...
Luke,
I think it was Ian and Luke who were the subs in, and Luke. Yep. Luke was in the McLaren. We're on with Beamer in the McLaren of his own. Who just spun out Brian Hackman, and he has destroyed his front wing.
Oh, this has got to... He can't move. That's got to be a safety car.
No, he's doing a little Austin Powers there, front and back.
That is just... If he's basically stuck, yeah, the front and back. I just don't understand what they're doing right now.
Yeah, that looked like a little aggressive, maybe of Beamer. I guess from my perspective, I'm sure that will be reviewed, but that really sets Brian back. I mean, he slammed into that wall, and now he finds himself he might come out in P13 or 14 here.
Which, normally you might think is, that's not too bad, but when you only have 15 drivers remaining, 13, 14 are basically the back.
Yeah, no, it's basically the back. Garrett Elder is still trying to minimize that gap between Mr. Sandunga, and the acceleration has stabilized a little bit, so the gap has stayed around the high threes for a little while. It that Garrett Elder had on the tires is maybe starting to wear off, and they're becoming more even. As,
Yeah, I mean, 3.9, ugh, it's going to be hard.
yeah, Josh Barnsley just clipped the wall again coming out of pool. And I wonder if it's enough damage that he has a pit. So frustrating day so far for the Alfa Romeos. After strong qualifying performances,
Yeah,
he comes
great
back in.
qualifying performance. Great qualifying performance. Josh started in P3. He's going to pit and come out in P10, P12, whatever. It's rough.
Yeah, a lot of pit stops. Very challenging for these guys. Where do they get all these front wings? You ever wonder
That's
how
what
many they
yeah.
bring to a weekend?
They got to be tinkering with. They got to rotate through 3 and just like go to work every time a broken one's brought in.
Yeah. So Brian Hockman did come out in P13 as we and he just passes Dom, who went in to the pits himself.
And
So he was on
Connor's out.
hards. And Connor finds himself DNF'd as well.
So that means there's 14 drivers remaining, and we're not even halfway through this race.
We're not even halfway, and then so I want to call out a guy like Drip right now, who is, look, he's not had the pace today, but he's driven a clean race, and there's been tons of carnage, and he finds himself in P15, which is a pretty strong performance for the Aston driver, and he's going to get crucial points here because he's just keeping it clean and bringing it home. And I know these guys are competitive and they're aggressive, but I mean, you have DNFs here from some of the top teams, and Ethan Patel and Shaggy Muffin. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and you just got to finish, especially with how the points are rewarded. But I do want to note something. While we were talking about that, a fan favorite, my favorite, Alex, I think he broke his wing. He had to pit again, and so he went from P4 to P10, and I'm just gutted for him.
Yeah, so now he'll have fresher tires, so he should be able to kind of close the gap to Sid and company in 7, 8, 9. But again, it's tough to pass, right? So it's almost like, okay, best case scenario, Alex, are you P10? And we'll see what moves he can make stick.
Yep. But I mean, if you look at the people in front of him, they've had some instances throughout the weekend. Panini's and Sid have already fixed their wing once or twice. Chris has had to fix a wing. Beamer has been running into people. So he's got 10 places in front of him, but, through the mistakes of others, they could definitely come back.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the penalties real quick. So we see just 3 seconds for anyone who has them. So no one's gotten double yet. But Mr. Sandunga has one, which is going to... Oh, as I just... There it is.
And that's massive.
That's huge.
I mean, Garrett's, what, a second, 2 seconds back now? And he's got 6 seconds for the penalties. That's...
Yeah, that's
Garrett
huge.
Still wants to win on track, but he might be the winner here. But Sleek, I don't know where Sleek's going to end up.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there's more than a 20-second gap. So what is there? Almost a 28-second gap there, if I'm doing math correctly, between him and P like 5, right? But he shouldn't be pitting for probably another 10 laps, OG, right?
I really don't know the medium strategy, but I do know that with Dom retired in the middle of the track right there needs to be a safety car.
Dom's out too.
That safety car could have won Sleek the race right here, but I just don't get it. I really don't get what the marshals are doing today. Did they not bring the equipment? Did they not bring the safety car? They didn't bring the medical car. I don't understand.
Yeah, big yikes here, as now we have, what is it, 6 DNFs? 7 DNFs. Drip will find himself in a very respectable P13. Both Alpines the leading constructor in wins,
Wow.
podiums, and points, are totally out of the Monaco Grand Prix.
And their biggest rival, Ferrari, has a driver in first and eighth right now. Both still in, both looking to get great points. So it's huge.
Ferrari's looking solid so far. I'm not sure if Sid will have to pit again on those mediums because we thought those were scrub mediums as well, right?
That's
So
true.
we'll see what happens there. Garrett Elder has closed the gap to Mr. Sandunga to 2 seconds as he continues to inch away at P2. I want to keep an eye on the gap between Mr. Sandunga and Sleek as well, because as that gap shrinks, Sleek will have to, keep his pit strategy front of mind as well.
Yeah, I mean, Sleek's definitely not out of this by any means. Anything can happen in Monaco, but he's got to start putting these laps. And I think you were right. A couple laps ago, you said about 10-ish laps, and he'll pit. I think that was what 4 or 5 laps ago. I think so. You got like 4 or 5, 6 laps to go, and he'll pit onto the softs and just try to fly through the field and get back home.
Yeah,
But
we're in with Spoonini now, who just witnessed lap car Drip Israel just smash his wing before the hairpin, but he is encroaching across Chris Beemister very quickly, and he's got Sid hot on his car as well. So a little battle going in between here in 6, 7, and 8. I wonder if we'll see some action. We're on with Sid right now in the tunnel. They're all three within DRS range of each other, 4 now, so Chris can feel them coming in to pull himself. A lot of pressure here on Chris. So Sid may have tapped the wall on the right-hand side.
He did tap the wall, and that's the dirty air right there. That left-hander is so hard to hit normally,
Yeah.
but especially with the dirty air of 2 other cars, you really, really feel it.
Sid not going into the pits, but he probably won't have the speed to go for Chris. Chris got a pretty good exit coming out of Rascals, and the DRS and Spoonini will conserve his ERS for a better opportunity. And maybe it's a Pras Saint Devote here as he tries to get some action. I don't know if I would have used it there, but
that's just how this track is, at the entrance of the tunnel and in the start-finish straight. Whoever gets the better exit really, wins that interaction. And it's so much easier for the leading car to get a better exit as well.
It is.
And so it's hard. Like right here, Spinini needs a way better exit, but Chris is already gone.
Yeah, and it needs to be way better too. It's not just a touch better and you can make the pass. No, you need to dominate. And while we were chatting about that, sorry OG, Garrett Elder has passed Mr. Sandunga, who is hot on his tail, but Garrett Elder finds himself in P2 with a 7.5 second gap to Sleek in P1 as Mr. Sandunga almost loses it going into the tunnel.
And that's how Garrett overtook him the first time, and Sandunga almost lost it in the tunnel as well. And I'm wondering if something similar happened that allowed Garrett to get it. I'm sure we'll see the clips after, as our race direction was probably not the best right there, but it's just how it is sometimes. We apologize.
Watching a midfield battle between Spoonini and Sid, and got caught up and missed the battle for 2 and 3. So Mr. Sandunga hot on the tail of Garrett Elder. He'll get the DRS. Look, did Garrett Elder get DRS off a lapped car or something? He also got it.
He did.
He got lucky there because from my perspective, it kind of looked like Mr. Sandunga had a better exit. But the DRS prevented the pass from being made. So he'll try to keep that gap as slow as possible. Sid and Spoonini, and now in fresher mediums, will of course try to make it to the end of the race. 7 DNFs here in Division 2 Monaco Grand Prix.
And Alex has crawled back. He's clawed back, actually. He's back up into P7 after falling to P11 or P10, whatever it was. He's back into P7, and he's on much faster tires than Chris, much faster tires than Big Mama Frank. He might get back into the top 5.
Yeah, Alex could get back in the top 5. We'll see if he can make a pass stick with Chris, who was just under pressure from Spoonini and Sid. Got them to crash into each other. And now under pressure from Alex, who almost loses it going into Saint Devote. And he'll stick in P7 for now. Mr. Sandunga's sticking around. Garrett Elder staying within a second. He's got the DRS now, but looks like Garrett Elder got a better exit going into the front straight there, and no way he could pass. Both have used a considerable amount of battery. Garrett Elder at 33, Mr. Sandunga about just under 50.
Yeah, I mean, they're just using their battery on those straightaways and, you know, conserving it throughout the rest of the lap. But those straights, the only where you need it, and it's just such a demanding track. You have to set everything up perfectly for essentially one turn or two turns. It's mentally exhausting. It's physically exhausting. And when you don't get it, it's almost demoralizing.
Yep. Yeah, no brakes for sure in Monaco. You have to be fully aware at all times. Cuts that curve really nicely, Mr. Sandunga. A lot of speed here coming over Ascas. Very smooth. Can he get a better exit than Garrett? Let's see. Doesn't look like it. No, and you're right. Even if it's close, the guy in front just pulls away so quick. And Spudini just sets the fastest lap, but 1:11.6.
On mediums, that guy is so fast.
Spudini is currently lapped, actually, so it looks like the leaders have gotten up all the way to the P9 and 10 guys.
And that's kind of the nature of the track as well. You know, the guys that are in the lead are in the lead because they haven't made any grave mistakes. They haven't broken their wing. But you know, you look behind them, and most of those guys that are in the bottom eight or nine have broken multiple wings. And even though, you know, they can hang with them pace-wise, it doesn't matter if you can't consistently put those laps together and not hit the wall.
Yeah. We're witnessing a pretty thick midfield battle here between P6, 7, and 8. Chris, Alex, and Beamer. The Aston Martin sandwich between the two McLarens. Mercedes power units going at it. Looking for some interesting racing here. Beamer looked like he almost had it on Alex on the last lap, but didn't quite make it stick.
And we know Beamer is no stranger to getting his elbows out.
No, he's not. He spun out Brian before. They're all getting their elbows out at each other.
Yeah, they're so close together. Alex, I thought he was going to go for the dive bomb right there. Might go for it on the hairpin. Chris is struggling. These mediums are so old.
Yeah, Chris is about ready. Looks like Beamer just bumped Alex. Yeah, a little bit of contact from behind. And they're both getting slowed down considerably by Chris. I wonder if there's some team communication going on there at all, because Beamer's getting slowed a lot. And
yeah, if this was traditional, I'm sure Chris would have let Beamer by, but, you know, it's too big a risk. You know, with Alex in the middle. But, yeah, Beamer seems to have the pace over Alex, and Alex definitely has the pace over Chris. It's just, this is the nature of the track, fellas. Yeah. It's just how it is.
I agree with both. And while we were talking, Mr. Sandunga has fallen behind Garrett Elder a little bit. That gap is now 2 seconds. Cole comes out on fresh softs. He'll try to finish with 13 laps on the soft tires, but he is sitting in P5.
Yeah, great race from Cole so far.
Yeah, great race from Cole so far, but you know, he's got a big gap to make up, as it looks like Sleek has come in for his stop as well.
Sleek is on the mediums?
Sleek is on the medium. Sleek is on the mediums.
Yeah.
So he'll have to pit again.
About that.
Because he's only used one compound, right? Unless we are missing something graphically.
He's only used the medium. He may have just thrown away a podium potentially. That bizarre. It had to have been a misclick. On our telemetry, it's showing Sleek tires medium, tires medium. I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely on medium tires again. He's only stopped once. Let's look at big winners and losers so far. Big Mama Frank and Cole Cummins up 8 and 9 spots respectively. Big winners. Chris was up 8 spots, but he's now in the pits, and he'll make his final stop of the race as well. big loser so far. Josh Barnsley down 9 spots in P12 after a fantastic qualifying performance. So a little bit of a race to forget for the Alfa Romeos, both in P11 and 12.
Yeah, after such a great qualifying, disappointing. But a battle I think, would be interesting to watch is the Beamer versus Alex battle. Beamer, he does have the pace over Alex, but Alex has shown he can defend better than anyone.
Yeah, he's
So we're gonna
defending
see how this
very well.
works.
I mean, we've seen Beamer be aggressive. I mean, he's already spun out one guy. I'd be worried if he's about as Alex, but he has just been defending outstandingly.
So this is the part right here. Alex has got to get a better exit.
I think he did.
He definitely did. Beamer went a little bit wide headed into that final turn, and he had to turn in to the right more than he should have, and that cost him quite a bit.
This is the closest battle on the grid right now. We have Garrett Elders, whose lead is growing. He's up by 3.3 seconds. Monaco Wizard over here on his 19-lap old mediums. He'll take these to the end. Mr. Sandunga will as well.
But Sleek, dude, Sleek on the mediums, what is it, 9 seconds back from Mr. Sandunga. If he was on the right tire, he would have a great chance at, potentially P2, and if something crazy happened, if he was able to pass Mr. Sandunga fast enough, potentially P1, but the tire just, that's his pit. His pit crew just bottled it right there.
Yeah, and now I'm concerned too because he needs to go in again. He's got a 30-second gap between Big Mama Frank, but he's got to go in again to change to a different tire compound, right?
Yeah, I mean, he has to, otherwise he's going to get disqualified, and, this great race will be for nothing.
That's up back on with Beamer at the perfect time as he
He's
does
right
get a
behind
pretty
him.
good exit. He's right behind Alex. Got the
Oh,
DRS.
no.
He'll go to the outside. Will he pass him on the outside? Leaves enough room. Very tight. And he's going to make it stick. Beamer in P6.
Wow.
Oh.
A little bit of contact between the two, but, I mean, it's Monaco. It's hard to overtake. Beamer recognized his opportunity and went for it. And so now Beamer's in P6, Alex P7.
I think that was good, clean racing there. Really, really.
Yeah.
And Beamer had the pace too. We could see it for the past 5, 6, 7 laps or so. Beamer had the pace and just needed one opportunity, one exit to be better, or going in the front straight to make it stick, and he did.
So Sleek does go into pit onto those softs, but now he's 27 seconds back of Mr. Sandunga when he was just 9.
Yeah. So Sleek did pit.
Got it.
Sleek did pit. He is on softs right now. And while we were watching the battle for 6th, Mr. Sandunga has cut the lead from Garrett Elder in half. Now the gap is 1.8. So I wonder if maybe Garrett had a moment?
He could have had a moment. He could just be taking it a little bit more cautious. He's in the lead. It's hard to overtake. He's got 10 laps remaining. You cannot make a mistake in these final 10 laps.
No, and I think that's what everybody is thinking right now. We see kind of the field has started to spread out a little bit. I think the closest gap is from P7 to P6 off Beamer's freshly obtained P6. But yeah, you see these guys starting to spread out. I think they are going to get a little bit more conservative. Make sure they bring the car home clean, and try to finish. 7 drivers haven't.
Yeah, so many drivers have not. It's just, yeah, what a bizarre, entertaining though, but bizarre race.
Entertaining for us in the booth for sure. As Beamer almost lost a little bit of the rear end coming out of that last chicane, but brings it back nicely and maintains that gap from Alex. So I'm not sure if Alex will get DRS range here. He's got it so far. Is he going to get to that deflection point? He is. So he will have DRS on Beamer. Coming in Raskas now. Will he have the exit? Beamer's healthily in front of him and gets a good exit himself. So Beamer doing his part to maintain P6. Pretty clean.
Garrett, not Garrett, Cole, my apologies, is had kind of a boring race. You know, he's in P5. He's not around anyone to either side of him. Just kind of running his race and finishing P5, which is a great finish.
Yeah, hey, if I'm Cole, I'm taking a boring P5 any day over an exciting
Oh, yeah.
P20. Yeah, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, it might be a little bit of a stretch for him because he'll have, what, 13 lap old softs at the end? So,
Yeah, they'll be pretty old and they'll be hurting, but I mean, he's got such a large gap to Beamer behind him, who's on 12 lap old
mhm.
mediums as well, so they'll both be hurting.
So the gap has increased. It doesn't look like Alex will be in DRS range this time, so he's got to get some quick laps if he hopes to have any shot at getting past Beamer to retain P6. It's the closest battle on the grid right now. Mr. Sandunga in P2. Gap has again increased to 3.3. Garrett Elder, our leader. P1, 23 lap old mediums.
And I'm just thinking what could have been with Sleek. But I mean, if you look at the top three, that's kind of what you wanted to see going into this season, right? You have a Red Bull, a Mercedes, a Ferrari. Fortunately, the Alpine couldn't be here, but you know, you assume Johannes probably would have been in that mix without a doubt. And so you would have been looking at, you know, a Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Alpine, top four, and that's exactly why they did the draft system this year. And it's, I mean, as you can see, turned out phenomenally, just as they wanted.
And you get some really interesting team dynamics too, because I know even from the D3 end, right? You know, I'm an alpha. I mean, I'm talking to the Haas guys. I'm talking to the Ferrari guys the whole race, right? We're
Yeah.
strategizing as a conglomerate of teams, and it's really cool to be able to interact with some other members of ZRL that I didn't typically interact with, and
Yeah.
it's great fun. We're learning a lot, and it's, you know, it's just like you're saying. I mean, it's resulting in some great action on track and some really top tier strategy.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that part. It's like, it's not just the on-track thing, you know, each team has their own little community. Um, I'm gonna say almost like a little brotherhood going on. Um, and I mean, there's rivalries going throughout from Honda to Mercedes to Ferrari, all of them. It's super nice. It makes the community feel way better. Like it just really makes ZRL stand out and above everything else, I believe, and super impressive.
And we're actually not biased at all, right? Just
Oh
by
no, I
popular belief.
I
So,
seriously don't think I have a biased bone in my entire body. That's what I was saying was the objective truth right there.
exactly. We're on with Alex, so unfortunately we've seen that gap to Beamer increase, and it looks like it may be a tall order to retain P6. Sid, who after a bunch of pit stops has had a relatively quiet P9 performance. He's on 13 lap old mediums, and how many pit stops has Sid had? I think it's quite a bit. Three.
I can,
Sid has had 3 stops. Josh Barnsley with 5. Drip with
oh my
5. So
goodness.
that'll be the reason they're in 12 and 13. Rough
That
day at
is
the office.
so many stops right there. 5 stops. And I mean, that's the difference. You see, the top 5 guys have pitted 2 times. Sleek has pitted 3 times because his pit box is terrible.
Right.
But everyone else has pitted 3 or more. Um, and so it's just, I mean, those last 2 positions, I mean, you know why they're in last. He pitted 5 times. The next one has pitted 4 times.
Yeah.
The 2 people in front of that have pitted 4 times. It's just, you can't expect to finish well, although these guys are finishing well because half the grid was knocked out earlier. But you can't expect to finish in the top 5 and have those kind of mistakes.
No. I mean, look at how important it's been just to race clean and adhere to your strategy. Our, 4 or 5 right now are guys that started 12 and 14 respectively in Big Mama Frank, Cole Cummins. And all
Yep.
they've done is race their race, adhere to their pit strategy, and be clean. And they're getting really, really strong performances here. I mean, this is looking great for Mercedes so far.
Oh,
Looking at a
phenomenal.
2-4. I mean, if you told Toto that you get a 2-4 at Monaco yesterday with your D2 guys, you would take that in a heartbeat.
Oh, 100%. And then even for the Honda guys, Garrett, you take a win almost over everything. You'll sacrifice the rest of the guys almost. Garrett's getting a win. Sleek had the opportunity. Ferrari's fighting for it. Sid didn't have his race, but Sleek had his. Um, so everyone, all the top teams put up a phenomenal fight. And we got 4 laps to go, so it's definitely not over by any stretch of the imagination. But super, super interesting to see how the team went.
Yeah, great action here so far. One gap that has closed considerably is the gap between Cole and Big Mama Frank. So Cole's on 9-lap old softs, and they're probably starting to lose grip. But Big Mama Frank is on 26-lap old mediums, and I'm sure he's feeling something similar, and that gap has gotten smaller and smaller. Of course, Cole has used a significant part of ERS. Big Mama Frank looks like he has 2, trying to maintain pace. So,
and I think we have someone, sorry for the interruption, Buffalo. I think we have someone who can provide a little bit of insight into that 27-lap-old mediums of Big Mama Frank. Toto Rivas, how's it going?
I am as pleased as I can be right now. It's overdue for Frank. Sandunga's been doing great. Frank's been doing great. He's just had some issues, but this is exactly what we expected. We drafted him first into the Mercedes. He's been outperformed by his teammate, but right now this is exactly what we expected. Big Mama Frank is doing all of us proud. He is on schedule. He is on time. He's running his race the way he expects to be. And as long as Cole doesn't dive bomb and take him out, this is a great finish.
I mean, you're looking at a potential 2-3 for Mercedes if Big Mama Frank did not get that egregious five-place grid penalty. That was just unreal. But he's up in a P4 with that grid penalty. He's had a great race, and yeah, he's just running his race, doing his thing.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because it was also a Mercedes power. He had an incident with Snoop Francis, and you just can't help those things. And we tried to appeal it. There's only so much we can do, even though I have the power I do, even though I'm an admin. We have to stay within the rules because as Mercedes, that's what we do: is we stay within the rules and we beat you on track, we beat you face to face, eye to eye, or we don't beat you and we live with the result.
well,
That's
you're
fair
doing a
enough.
great job of beating a lot of drivers here so far, Toto Rivas. Big Mama Frank still holding off Cole Cummins, right, for P4, and he's looking very strong, nursing those tires to the finish line. Let's take a look at the penalties here because I'm curious. Okay, they're both at 3 seconds. So the penalties aren't going to come into play between P4 and P5, so it really is just kind of a race to the finish.
But
Yep, Frank's just got to keep it wide and stay in Cole's way and don't give him any opportunities. Thanks, guys.
see ya.
Great insight from Toto Rivas, and it shows. I mean, they have had, they practiced this week as
Oh, his
Cole
Cole
may
touched
have
the
tapped
wall.
the wall on the right.
No! He's
And
got
his-
1 lap to go. 1 lap to go.
He's got 1 lap to go. His hopes of P4 may be dashed, but he needs to bring this home clean. Something else to look at too is Mr. Sandunga might be under a little bit of pressure. You can see he's got a 14-second gap, but he's got 19 seconds of penalties. So if Sleek gets some pace here and Mr. Sandunga has a moment, he might find his P2 finish in jeopardy too. So
Yeah,
here
and
at the end
Sandunga
here,
cannot afford another penalty. He cannot.
no. They're about to begin
Yes.
this last lap. Let's ride in with Garrett Elder so far, the Wizard of Monaco here in P1. Has been setting blistering times for quite a while now, nursing his mediums around. Just the experience in the practice is shown here. He's been the most
Oh,
steady,
yes.
consistent driver the whole day.
I mean, he's put in, lap after lap in practice, and he hasn't just been doing it for himself. He's been helping the entire Honda team, and I think that's helped him as well. He's in P1, about to win the Monaco Grand Prix. Just after starting on pole as well, and he had some battles. It wasn't hard. He had to scrap it out with a Mercedes rival, and he's about to just bring it home as a winner.
He's about to bring it home. Yeah, I know Cole is struggling in P5 on the broken, but we've seen that gap between 4 and 5 increase exponentially. And I think that's because of a little bit damage on the right side. But we're on with Garrett Elder as he comes through pool for the final time. Easy on the throttle there, not pushing too hard. Goes over the curb very nicely into his final approach in a
And here
Rascass.
we go. Here we go.
Garrett
Coming
Elder
to the line.
is going to bring it home as the winner of the Monaco Grand Prix in round 5 of Zoom Racing League. Just an outstanding race. He holds off Mr. Sandunga at the end. And P1, Garrett Elder, Red Bull, takes it home.
And there you go, followed closely by a Mercedes of Mr. Sandunga and a Ferrari of Sleek. And you're coming right behind them. You got another Mercedes, Big Mama Frank, and then Cole, Beamer, Alex, Manini, Sid, Chris. And then to round out the final three, only 13 drivers finished this race. Brian Hackman, Josh Barnsley, and Drip.
I want to stick on here in P5 with Cole right now. He has not made it to the finish line yet. He's got that right wing damage, and that gap between Beamer and P6 has gone down by about 7 seconds in a lap. So he's got to get a really clean Rascast here to maintain that 3-second gap for Beamer. And wow, with wing damage, that's very hard to do. He's going to come around the final turn.
Oh.
He is going to maintain that gap.
Oh, so close.
Wow, very difficult to do. 2 laps on a busted front right wing, and he keeps it. Alex with a very strong performance in P7, Spanini P8, Sid a little bit disappointing in P9 for Sid.
Yeah, wasn't the race he was kind of hoping for, but you know, his teammate showed out, and he's gonna have to fight next week in France when Johannes is back.
Great action today in Monaco. I think we have 3 different constructors, 3 different power units on the podium. Really exciting, just evenly matched teams. Garrett Elder, the Mr. Top 200 in the world in Monaco, takes it home. Let's get these guys in for some interviews.
Talk to some people, yeah. So we're waiting on them to just hop in over into the waiting room. And so, I mean, dude, yeah, what a race by them. What a race. Mr. Sandunga, you know, 2nd podium in a row. Sleek finally, I think this is Sleek's first podium this season. It's finally shown out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's finally coming all together for Mercedes and Mr. Sandunga and Big Mama Frank, and just a great all-around performance by everybody today. It looks like Alpine kind of struggled the most out of everybody trying to get out of there. They had a little bit of a day to forget, and the high Ferrari guys too. You know, not up there.
Speaking of the Ferrari, we got Sleek in the waiting room. I'm gonna pull him in real fast. Sleek, can you hear us?
What's up?
What's up, bro? I mean, this has been probably your best race in Division 2 so far. You were looking great for a win or P2 there for a little bit before the pit box error. So I just want to hear, what was your rundown coming into this race? Did you expect to be fighting for the lead?
I thought I could get a podium just based off my race pace, and I put in a lot of practice this week. And Johannes didn't show up, so I thought I might have a shot at second. I didn't think I'd beat Garrett, but yeah.
Yeah, Sleek, really nice job there. Man, I gotta ask, the pit strategy towards the end there, we were kind of curious. We know you started on mediums and figured you'd go medium to soft. Was that just like kind of a miscommunication there? Did you mean to go on softs on the first stop?
All part of the Ferrari master plan, man. No, for real, my UI was showing that it was going to put me on a used set of softs, and I thought I still had a new set left. So I was like cycling through to check, and it kind of locked me into mediums. So
That's
yeah,
brutal.
Probably the stupidest mistake I've ever done, but I still got a podium, so can't be too mad.
Yeah, still a great race from you. And you've had, you know, some issues in the past, but you're such a fast driver, and I'm hoping this P3, this podium, is a sign of things to come.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks, guys.
All right, see you, man.
Nice job, Sleek.
So now we'll drag in P2, the Mercedes, Mr. Sandunga. Mr. Sandunga, are you there?
Yo, what's poppin'?
I mean, you went crazy this race. You had a phenomenal start. After that start, what were your thoughts? What was going through your head? Did you think you were gonna finish the race in the victory slot?
I mean, to be honest, I got a pretty good start. You know, I started dumping a bit of, like, well, not a bit, quite quite a lot of VRS trying to get a gap to Garrett, but you know, he's just a fucking animal. You know, his pace is just insane. So yeah, I decided to hold DRS and just, you know, keep it on the black stuff. Just keep my front wing. Had a couple of moments here and there, but thankfully I managed to hold it. But then yeah, I knew I wasn't gonna win because Garrett has had way too much pace. But yeah, Ziggy actually, the brains behind the Mercedes garage. He suggested we go for an undercut, so we did. We got the undercut, but then deep down I knew it was a matter of time until Garrett caught up, and plus having those 9 seconds time penalty didn't really help. So yeah, I was kind of worried for a bit that Sleek might get the jump on me because he started showing really good pace towards the end on those softs, but luckily, yeah, we managed to hold it, and yeah, that's a podium. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Mr.
pretty.
Sindu got two in a row for you now, two podiums in a row.
Yeah.
Are you already starting to prepare for Paul Ricard to try to make it three?
Yeah. That's the idea. Keep working. Keep practicing. Keep working hard. Getting those laps in. But yeah, I think Paul Ricard's gonna be tight as well. Pretty fast drivers. I think a lot of people actually like Paul Ricard, so you know it might be more challenging. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I mean, great couple of weeks, and yeah, we're hoping that can continue into Paul Ricard. But a great race. It was awesome watching you, and yeah, good luck next week.
Thank you, boys, and once again, thank you for broadcasting. You're awesome. So yeah.
Nice job, man.
Thank you.
All right, boys. I'll see you around.
See ya.
Bye.
And now we bring in Mr. Monaco, Garrett Elder. Mr. Monaco,
What
how
is up?
I mean, how are you feeling right now? The victory, you've been predicting it all week. Now that it's come true, what's going through? How you feeling?
I didn't expect anything but a win. That's how it is. Over in Honda, we got the best engineers. Pit crew.
Facts.
The only thing wrong with Honda is our pit crew decided they wanted to sign up to go to the Army after everything's been going on this week. So shout out to Walmart for handing us their guys. They did amazing.
Pit crew subs coming in clutch. Garrett, how long did it take you to become top 200 in Monaco, and are you still top 200?
Um, Took about an hour, but I also had plenty of practice coming in to this week before that.
Yeah.
And I believe I'm still top 200. Not too
Nice.
sure on that.
Nice.
All right, Garrett. Now that you've completed the goal, does the focus shift to France? Or are you gonna celebrate this win for next week, and kind of maybe not have an off week next week, but take it a little bit easier.
Oh, I'll probably go clubbing tonight, and then
There you go, baby.
and
There you
then
go.
tomorrow morning I'll be ready for France. Start practicing for that.
Well, a great race, great week. I appreciate your help all week, and I'm glad you got the win today. So yeah, great race.
Thank you.
OG, I wonder if he gets recognized as in the club as the Monaco King.
Oh,
You
100%.
think so? He's got to, right?
100%.
Yeah.
He's gotta be.
Yeah.
All right. So we're getting a lot of people in here asking for us to interview Big Mama Frank, and I got some questions for you for Big Mama Frank. So I'll let it happen. Big Mama Frank, can you hear us?
I certainly can.
So I got two questions for you. One, how does it feel to lose driver of the day to Cole Cummins? How does it feel?
Nice race from him, I suppose. I don't know.
Big Mom Frank, you had just an incredible P4 performance, and Cole only had a very quiet P5, right? That's why I think the case for driver of the day is a little bit better. But when you got that grid penalty in qualifying, right? Sensitive because it was 100% not your fault. Did you feel confident you could make it up to P4 as the race got underway?
Before the race, I didn't really have any expectations for where I wanted to finish. The only goal was to finish without damage and without penalties, since I had so many bad races the last three times out. So, no, I didn't expect P4.
Were you and Mr. Sandunga doing a lot of team strategy? He was in P2 for a while and P1, threatening the whole way. What was that kind of team dynamic like through the whole race?
Well, he pit before me, and the idea was if somebody tried to pit after him, then maybe I can hold them up if I tried to stay out. But my tires were going too quickly, so I just had to go in. So he was too far ahead of me for me to really interact with his race.
We heard from Garrett Elder that he's going clubbing tonight to celebrate his Monaco P1. Now, when you go clubbing to celebrate your ZRO races, do they recognize you, or are you not there
Dude,
yet?
they do, dude. I am pretty
Really?
big, so it's in my name.
It's
So
the personality.
it's
It's
hard to
got to be
miss. Oh
electrifying.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, great race from you. Great recovery. Hoping you can get on those top 3 steps there in France next week, and we'll see you later.
Thanks, guys.
OG, that was a ton of action, man. I think that was the most fun I've had in a race weekend in a long time. Full
It was a
quali,
lot.
Monaco. Great racing today. Loved it.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. Great racing. Honda boys got the win they deserved. 2 races in a row. Buzz God, Garrett Elder. That's what you like to see. Hoping we can continue that streak tomorrow. Duncan Mechanic, I'm calling it right now, race winner. But, it's been a hell of a race in D2, and I can't wait for next week.
We'll celebrate Monaco. We'll get ready for Paul Ricard with ZRL here, D2. I'm Buffalo.
I'm OG.
All right, take care, guys.